as we discussed the cylindrical object that was over Yukon territory, which NORAD shot down. And we are now moving to obtain the debris and examine it.
Okay, so then, can you share with us anything from your conversations about what this is? You said it's cylindrical.
It does appear that the object was cylindrical in nature and smaller than the object that was shot down over the United States eastern coast.
Including the most recent one over Lake Huron. And as Minister Anand, as the Department of Defense has explained to me, we actually don't know what this object is. It's smaller, it's cylindrical in shape.
Adding to the confusion, we've heard from a few U.S. officials, including Jake Sullivan, describing these as balloons. But the Pentagon won't quite go that far in saying that these are balloons. Last night, a Pentagon official did say that there are a number of other entities, such as companies or research organizations, that launch objects into the atmosphere, into the sky, suggesting perhaps that's the explanation here. But they haven't come in on one explanation and said, this is what's responsible.
What we learned over the weekend is that they did shoot down, of course, these objects over Alaska, northern Canada, and over Lake Huron in Michigan. The ones over Alaska and northern Canada, we are told that they were balloon-like. They had features that were very similar to a balloon, and they also had small cylindrical metal payloads attached to them. Now, obviously, we don't know whether these actually were balloons because that is the extent of the details we were given. But with the one that was shot down over Lake Huron in Michigan, that one was a little bit different. It was described as octagonal with strings attached to it.
This is becoming Balloon Gate, I guess we could call it. What we need is, to recover these objects, as the Pentagon's call them, and figure out first where they're from, and if possible, what their source is.
Also, we've got a serious development this morning when it comes to the U.S. military, now shooting down several mysterious flying objects over the weekend.
But we're going to begin with the U.S. military shooting down 3 mysterious flying objects in just 3 days. And now the White House is under growing pressure to answer some basic questions. What are they? Where did they come from? Were these Chinese spy drones or something else? The flying objects were different shapes and sizes. The latest one was shot down yesterday afternoon near Lake Huron in Michigan. We're told it was shaped like an octagon with strings hanging off of it.
Well, Don, the U.S. military has been busy in the last 72 hours. As you noted, 3 objects, this one up here off the north coast of Alaska on Friday, then over Canada on Saturday, and Sunday here, Lake Huron.
The Chinese are claiming that they have spotted their own unidentified object, and late yesterday there were reports that they were preparing to shoot it down.
And so I do, when you make a joke about aliens, but the Pentagon was actually asked this yesterday because in the void of information, people are raising questions about what exactly it's going to be. This is actually what we heard from the NORAD Commander General.
I'll let the intel community and the counterintelligence community figure that out. I haven't ruled out anything. At this point, we continue to assess every threat or potential threat unknown that approaches North America with an attempt to identify it.
And says he hasn't ruled anything out yet.
And that was in response to the question, could any of this be from outer space? Which I think, he was giving himself a wide berth on because, frankly, if they can't say what it is, they can't say what it's not yet.
Andy, what do you think of the relative quiet, if you want to call it, or silence from the administration so far on this? I mean, one Democratic congressman, as MJ Lee was saying, told CNN that the silence from Biden is odd. So 3 unidentified objects shot down out of the sky over the last 3 days. And the White House facing questions over what's going on, what they know, and why they're shooting them down. A member of House Intelligence joins us next.
Up next, why the silence? President Biden 3 times this weekend did issue those shoot-down orders, but he did not detail why or what his administration knows and doesn't know about those mysterious objects in the sky. The president still has not addressed 3 identified objects shot down over the country this weekend, one of them over Canada. CNN now learning there are new concerns from those close to the president that perhaps he should be doing more to communicate with the American people about this issue. Right now, the president has no public events. He had those drills, U.S. fighter jets above the United States and above Canadian territory shooting at things in silence from the president.
Right, and clearly something has changed. We went through years without anything needing to be shot out of the sky, and all of a sudden things are being shot out of the sky. The White House is bringing John Kirby from the NSC to the briefing today, along with Karine Jean-Pierre. That's not the President of the United States, but but as MJ reported, they still don't know a lot. And I think that there is a risk for the president of the United States to come out and say, oh, everything's fine, and then to find out that, oh, everything maybe isn't fine. And I think there's also a very serious question about whether there have been things out there all along and the U.S. is only just now seeing them and what changed. There's a real policy question that government officials are going to have to answer to.
And so one of the risks, look, they don't know. And Natasha's been working the story. They don't know to a degree. But what happens is lawmakers want to know, members of Congress want to know, especially if you're going to go on the Sunday show. So if you're Chuck Schumer, you're the Senate Majority Leader, you talk to the National Security Advisor, and then you say this.
You can be sure that if any American interests or people are at risk, they'll take appropriate action. Until they get that comprehensive analysis, however, we have to look at each balloon individually
Were these
and see
balloons
what
Friday
this
and
does.
Saturday night?
They believe they were, yes, but much smaller.
Is that, when Senator Schumer said that, that's the best information he had. But do we really know?
We don't know. And actually, the Pentagon said, even last night to reporters, they cannot rule out that this is extraterrestrial. I mean, that is the level that we're at right now, where they're saying they can't rule out aliens. Now, a Defense Department official did come out afterwards on background and tell reporters, look, there is no evidence that these are actually aliens.
Out front next, President Biden still silent, even as members of his own party say he needs to address the unidentified objects that are being taken down over the U.S. Tonight, Biden's silent. No word from the President of the United States after 3 unidentified objects were shot down in the course of 3 days over North American airspace.
To be fair, we are less in the dark tonight than just yesterday when NORAD's top general found himself not ruling out space aliens.
Have you ruled out aliens or extraterrestrials? And if so, why? Because that is what everyone is asking us right now.
Yeah, thanks for the question, Helene. I'll let the intel community and the counterintelligence community figure that out. I haven't ruled out anything at this point.
So he didn't yesterday. Today, the White House did.
I know there have been questions and concerns about this, but there is no indication of aliens or extraterrestrial activity with these recent takedowns.
Okay, so no indication of that, according to the White House. Late today, CNN obtained a Pentagon memo sent to lawmakers today describing the object shot down Saturday in Canadian airspace as what appeared to be, quote, small metallic balloon with a tethered payload below it. The memo also said the object shot down Sunday over Michigan's Lake Huron, quote, slowly descended, unquote, into the water after impact.